Should I go on this LeBron thing? Listen, I'm so tired of everybody picking on LeBron.
On him congratulating himself preemptively?
He did a congratulations to himself on Instagram. I want to thank myself.
Before he should even congratulate himself.
But let's just go to so Kevin Love Monday, they have this big team meeting.
We have to talk about this, Colin.
No, you didn't.
I think he's going to go chronologically. He's going to go Monday when they all blame Kevin Love.
I mean, I'm not an Instagram guy. I couldn't give a rip. I don't think that, that's...
I think Instagram's great.
It is really great.
I don't go to it. So Monday they have a you-know-what storm in Cleveland, and they have a meeting. And
they gave up 148 points on Saturday night in an actual NBA game to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
148 points. Yeah. That's like layup lines.
But then they have a big meeting Monday, and they scream and they yell and they shout, and I'm like, they're doing it before the trading deadline. This is what they do. And now Dan Gilbert's watching this. They invited the GM to sit in the meeting, and it was yelling and screaming and Kevin Love. And my takeaway is conflict creates resolution. Like, I have no problem. I wish more teams would do this. When Brady's pissed at McDaniel, he walks over to him and screams at him, then they're boys.
But there's a limit to it, right? There's a limit to it. And how many closed-door team meeting, players-only meetings can you have before people are like, dude, I can't, sorry. And it's always Kevin Love's fault. Now, I will point out that this is a widely known fact in the NBA is that very few people like Kevin Love.
I know that.
He has this incredible, he sits right here on the couch like, I don't get it. I love him, right? But for whatever, being around him daily at work, guys just think he's a phony as a guy.
Yeah.
And that's why they're calling him a phony, saying he came in, said he was sick, and we don't buy it. But on some level, I actually feel for Kevin Love because what he's going through is exactly what Chris Bosh said he would go through. When Kevin Love went to the Cavaliers and LeBron left Miami, Chris Bosh said, look, you're going to have to play center because LeBron wants a shooting center. Okay, you're going to be the third option. Kevin Love is the third option. And when things go wrong, they're going to blame you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happened. No one ever blames LeBron when, look, dude, it's got to be on some level your fault. He's not as good defensively as he's been, and these are many of the pieces that he wanted around him. We put this in place for you. And here's the thing. One of the things we give credit to LeBron for, guys that love LeBron like you and Nick Wright and others, is...
Yeah, I love him because he gets to the finals every year.
Hey, when he leaves, look at the record for the Cavs when he left. Look at the record for the Heat when he left. Part of it is that's who LeBron is. You try and create everything to be perfect for him, and when he leaves, it's like the kid that comes over to your house, and every time he comes over to your house, right, somebody ends up being sick, or the playroom's messed up, and somebody's, there's slime. I don't know, your kids are too old to make slime.
Yeah.
There's slime in the carpet. Right? And you're like, what happened? They're like, well, LeBron was here. This is what happens. LeBron's a lot of fun, and everybody has a good time. And then when he leaves, everything is a mess. That's LeBron James. When he leaves it a mess. Other players, when they leave the situation better than it had been.
That's a very interesting take. I don't buy into this Instagram stuff. Kristine loves Instagram. I'm told you love Instagram.
Well, there's good and bad parts.
There is the FOMO, the fear of missing out that your kids go through.
My daughter has that.
Yeah.
Fear of missing out.
Right.
Oh, my God, my life's great over here.
I don't have that.
Yeah, and then, Facebook is a little bit of adult show and tell. So is Instagram a little bit of adult show and tell. But within reason, look, you can look back on photos. If you use, it's like any social media device. If used with the right intentions in the right way, I think it's great. I think it's great.
And the stories feature is nice.
So you guys
takes part in.
LeBron basically released, he doesn't even look like LeBron, a picture of LeBron at 16 years old, and he said, I want to be one of the first to congratulate you, and he's talking about himself. It is a little over the top.
A little?
This is ridiculous. You couldn't wait one day.
Well, it's one of those things to which you want somebody else to say about you. Your wife can post it.
Right.
Your kid can post it. Your Rich Paul can post it.
Right.
One of your high school coach, who's now the coach at Duquesne, can post it.
Do you know what this reminds me of exactly? Is the Kobe basketball letter to himself,
which is now an Oscar nominated.
It's Oscar nominated, which is very odd considering the time frame we're in right now and what's going on with James Franco. But that's a separate subject. But doesn't it remind you of? It's the same thing that Kobe did.
The self-aggrandizing.
Yeah, I think a lot of it. I think it's
uncomfortable.
Basketball. I think football's about the system. Baseball, you can't even look at your own home runs. I think the culture of basketball is player star driven.
Yes, but talking about your this is essentially doing a letter in third person, right? And there's nothing worse than the third person interview. I mean, you have completely lost sense of yourself. Never
Hey, Colin Cowherd doesn't like that.
Maybe he saw that Kobe got nominated for an Oscar, and he's like, I'm going to get in this business too and start thanking myself.
You guys.
Yeah, it's more than a little uncomfortable, especially when your team is floundering, when your team is a complete and utter disaster. When you're having, once you go to multiple players-only meeting, Collins, I think you can say this will bring resolution. The resolution is they can't and won't guard anybody, and it's not getting any better.
And your coach is saying we all need to get rid of our own personal agendas and egos, and then he goes and does this?
Good stuff, Kristine Leahy and Doug Gottlieb.
He really pretended like it was a great point.
Thanks.
It's a great point.
Thanks,
she
Doug.
talks about that all the time.
No, but she actually made it great. She like walked you into the path, walked you down the path where Ty Lue said after a game, after they're blown out, hey, we got to get rid of our personal agendas. And then like, boom, personal agenda.
I don't consider that an agenda. I don't consider that an agenda.
His points are so important to him.
Well, yes.
His MVP is so important to him.
Well, all basketball players are egomaniacs.
Doug and I made a lot of really good points today, Colin.
Basketball is just a lot of ego. Football is about this.
Hold on. Wait. If that's true, then Steph Curry, who is a 2-time MVP, welcomed in another MVP. That's a sacrifice of ego.
There's no question.
And Kevin Durant went to somebody else's team. That's a sacrifice of ego.
Right.
So that's not
and
true.
By the way,
really good. And by the way, LeBron's
no. And they were called out for it because they didn't have the MJ Kobe gene, which is killer. They are game changers. Steph was crushed for it. KD was crushed for it. Dude, it's your team. A man does it. Your point is, my point is, basketball culture is selfish.
No. Bad basketball culture is selfish.
Yeah.
Well, good basketball culture is the Spurs. Good basketball culture is the Warriors. Good basketball culture is even how LeBron has always said, look, I'm more about the success of others than I am myself. He always says that. I get the greatest thrill when other guys make shots.
If I ask my audience who they love MJ, who punched teammates. They love Kobe.
They love Steph Curry right now.
No. You put a poll up in my audience who they love. They bang on LeBron, who has been more share than points guy. They love Kobe. They love MJ. Basketball. Steph Curry got crushed for being smart. Like, I looked at Steph Curry, I'm like, this is awesome. You and I see that. But
Correct.
The basketball culture has so elevated.
I think you're separating fan culture from actual basketball culture. Fan culture is you buy into the Mamba mentality, into the, taking, 27 shots in Game 6 and only making 6 or 7 of them during the last title, right? Is taking $48 million coming off of injury instead of taking less money to get other players in there. So I think you're confusing fan culture, fans' desire to, it's about stats, it's about points, it's about ego, with actual basketball culture, which is 5 guys playing as one, open man gets the ball.
Yeah, that's what I like.
It is, but that's the actual basketball culture. There's a conflict here between fan culture and how a game is marketed and actual basketball coaches, players, and what's actually believed in by the sport.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.